Hi, I'm Crystal Cotton, President of Crystal Clear Connections, where we help you connect, influence, create, and achieve your career goals. So today we're talking about 10 tips to writing a better cover letter. And why it's important that you have the best possible cover letter is that it is your opportunity to impress the employer with your skills, abilities, and to answer any questions that are not included in your resume. So if there are gaps or things that don't necessarily fit on the resume or things that you want the employer to know about you, you need to put that in your cover letter. Tip number 1 is to make sure you use a basic business format. And that means not using formats that are very informal or addressing the employer in a way that is more friendly than it is professional. Tip number 2 is to make sure you use a simple and easy to read font. And that means staying away from the script or some of the other fonts that are more fancy. You want to stick to a basic, easy to read font. Tip number 3 is to always use the name of the person that you're applying to the job for. So if you don't know the name of the person, you want to make sure that you have at least a job title. So if it's Human Resources Director, Director of Marketing. But there are ways that you can actually try to find out who the person is that's receiving your resume. Call the organization or go to their website. If you go to their website, you're going to look at their directory and try to find out the names of the person who heads a particular department. If you're calling there, speak to the receptionist or ask for human resources and then just generally ask for the name of the person that heads that particular department. Often that's all it takes to get that information. Tip number 4 is to always refer to the position that you're applying for in your cover letter. Sometimes when you're looking at job sites, you'll only see a reference number. If that's all you have, use the reference number. But it's important that when you're applying for a job, that the person looking at your resume knows clearly which job you're applying for. Employers often post online or through other venues and use several different job titles for the same job, which would then give them a particular idea of where the jobs come from, where your responses come from. So it's important that you make sure that you reference the job title that you're applying for, and then in your cover letter make sure that you pinpoint where you saw the job ad. Tip number 5 is referrals. If you received a referral to an employment opportunity from a friend or a current employee, you want to make sure that you use that person's name when you're addressing either the person you're speaking to on the phone about the job or in your cover letter. However, the caveat to this is to make sure that the person who's referred you is in good standing at the company. You certainly don't want to use the name of a reference that is not in good standing. Therefore, the employer may not look at you as heavily as they would someone who comes from a more credible source. Tip number 6, make sure that when you're responding to a job ad, that you list in your cover letter the skills and experience that the employer is looking for. You'll find catchphrases and keywords that are specifically written in the job description because that employer is looking for those skills and abilities. So when you draft your cover letter, you want to make sure that you highlight those skills and abilities that fit the employer's requirements. Number 7, in your cover letter, when you're highlighting your skills and abilities, also make sure that you highlight your accomplishments. Employers want to see not only what you're able to do, but what you have accomplished and what successes you have achieved for other employers. So make sure that you highlight your accomplishments, your skills, and your successes. To summarize the 10 steps to a better cover letter, number 1 is to use a standard business format. Number 2 is to use easy to read standard fonts. Number 3, whenever possible, get the name of the person you are addressing. Number 4, always refer to the position you are applying for and where you saw the job announcement. Number 5, if you've gotten a referral from an employee or a friend, always make reference to that person in your cover letter, but make sure that you know that the person is in good standing with that company. Number 6, when you speak of your experience, also speak of your skills, your successes, and your accomplishments. Tip number 7, make sure that you describe your favorable characteristics in terms of what the employer is looking for. Pull key phrases from the job description and use that to describe yourself. Number 8, when closing out your cover letter, take the opportunity to tell the employer that you will follow up and give them a specific date that you will be calling or making additional contact with them. Tip number 9 is to follow up your cover letter with an email. This reminds the employer that you are still interested in the position and gives them the opportunity to take a second look at your cover letter and your resume. Tip number 10 refers to following up on your cover letter and your resume. In addition to sending out a formal cover letter, within 1 week of sending your resume to an employer, you should send a postcard. On the front of the card, it should just have a simple thank you, and on the back of your card, you should express your continued interest in the employment opportunity and restate your skills, abilities, and your contact information. This gives the employer, again, a reminder that you've sent in a resume, and if they've passed over it, gives them the opportunity to go back and look at it again. This is Crystal Cotton, President of Crystal Clear Connections. I want to thank you for tuning in to 10 Steps to Writing a Better Cover Letter. For more information about Crystal Clear Connections, please visit our website, www.hotjobscoldmarket.com. Again, that website is www.hotjobscoldmarket.com.